Welcome to Key Talking Points.
The podcast that makes learning effortless.
No fluff, no jargon, just clear, engaging explanations.
We break down complex topics so you don't have to.
Let's get straight to the point.
Visit keytalkingpoints.com for more.
All right, let's start with this. Did you know that children aged 8 to 17 are spending anywhere between 2 to 5 hours online every single day? Platforms like TikTok and YouTube top the list where they spend their time.
Wow. 2 to 5 hours? That's like a huge chunk of the day. And we're talking every day, right?
Exactly. And as they get older, it's even more. A big proportion of kids over 12 have their own smartphones, meaning they've got the internet and everything that comes with it at their fingertips almost all the time. Now here's where it gets worrying. 1 in 3 children are encountering harmful content online.
Wait, 1 in 3? That's terrifying. What kind of harmful content are we talking about here?
Great question. We're talking about things like bullying, inappropriate or violent material, and even pornography. Unfortunately, the average age kids are first exposed to porn is just 13. 13! And the content they stumble upon can be pretty shocking, graphic, even exploitative.
I mean, it's no wonder we're hearing about the mental health impacts. Kids are literally growing up with this stuff being part of their everyday lives. That, plus the pressure from social media.
Precisely. Let's not forget, about 1 in 8 kids between 8 and 17 say they've been bullied or targeted with hurtful behaviour online. It's this mounting exposure to harmful experiences that increases the risk of anxiety, depression, and just a general decline in mental well-being.
And the parents, how do they even keep up? How do you protect your child from seeing all this stuff when they're basically connected non-stop?
It's tricky, no doubt about that. But there are organisations stepping up to support families. The NSPCC provides incredible resources like guides for setting boundaries with technology, age-appropriate tools, and even helplines. Plus, Childline offers a lifeline for kids dealing with these challenges. They've got a confidential service where children can call, email, or chat online about anything that's bothering them.
That's good to know. Knowing there's someone to call, even if the child might not want to talk to their parents right then, that's a relief, honestly.
It really is. The NSPCC helpline for parents operates during regular hours, and the Childline service is available 24/7 for kids under 19. These kinds of resources empower children to open up, and at the same time, they give parents the tools to respond appropriately.
But here's the thing. While helplines are great for support, there's got to be more we can do beforehand, you know? Like preventative measures.
Absolutely. And we'll cover some tools like that, starting with a service called Report Remove, which helps young people manage non-consensual images online, plus guides for parents on age verification and setting controls. You're absolutely right about needing proactive solutions. One of the key tools making a real difference is called Report Remove. Essentially, it's a service designed to help young people who've had non-consensual, nude images shared online. They can report these images and get them taken down quickly. The tool, developed by Childline and the Internet Watch Foundation, empowers kids to regain control of their digital presence and privacy.
Wow, that's such important work. I can't even imagine the anxiety kids must feel in situations like that. And to have something proactive they can do. It's a game changer, isn't it?
It really is. Giving them control over what's out there can make a world of difference. But services like Report Remove aren't the only tools out there. Let's talk about parental controls. Around 2/3 of parents, according to recent data, are actively using some form of parental control, whether it's filters on broadband, restrictions on apps, or monitoring settings on devices like phones and tablets. These tools might not be foolproof, but they offer an extra layer of protection.
Okay, but if I'm being honest, doesn't it feel a bit overwhelming? Like every platform and gadget seems to have its own way of doing things. How are parents supposed to know where to start?
You're absolutely right. It can feel like a minefield. But step-by-step guides are available, like those offered by organisations such as the NSPCC, to walk parents through the process. YouTube, for example, has their kids mode that filters content specifically for younger audiences and supervised accounts for older kids. Then you've got platforms like Instagram, which defaults teen accounts to private and includes things like screen time limits. Even gaming platforms like Roblox require parental consent for under 13s to use private chat features. It's a matter of learning what works best for your family.
Yeah, and sometimes parents need to get creative too. I remember helping my cousin create a set of tech rules with her kids. We sat down together, they're 8 and 10, and she asked them to come up with their own ideas for what was acceptable online behaviour. It was amazing. The kids actually suggested things like no chatting with strangers and not using the tablet before bed. It gave them a sense of ownership, you know?
That's a brilliant idea. Encouraging kids to be part of the process not only makes them more likely to follow the rules, but it also teaches them about online accountability. Having those conversations as families is vital. It demystifies the whole idea of tech safeguards, making them less of a restriction and more of a shared responsibility.
Exactly. And then you've got more direct tools like age verification guides that help parents set boundaries more confidently. It's really about layering up these efforts, isn't it?
It is. And layering is the key phrase here. From online filters to supervised device use to open communication, protecting children online is about finding that balance between safety and independence.
And knowing, of course, that no one method's perfect. It's about staying informed and flexible for sure.
Building on the idea of layered protection, let's turn to legislation, because creating safer online spaces, especially for kids, also requires systemic action. At the centre of this is the Online Safety Act, which came into law in 2023, but its major provisions are being implemented this year, in 2025.
Right. This is where platforms like social media companies really need to step up, isn't it?
Exactly. The Act introduces strict obligations for these companies, requiring them to take action against illegal content. That includes child sexual abuse material, promoting self-harm, even things like cyber flashing, which is when someone sends unsolicited, explicit images. It also requires age verification measures on adult sites to ensure children can't access harmful material.
I mean, that all sounds like common sense, doesn't it? How can anyone disagree with keeping harmful stuff away from kids?
You'd think so, but the reality is a bit murkier. Some critics argue that while the Act sounds good on paper, enforcing it is going to be a massive challenge. For instance, Ofcom, the regulatory body tasked with overseeing compliance, has been given considerable powers, but critics have questioned whether it's enough to hold tech giants accountable consistently. Let's not forget the issues surrounding privacy. With mandatory age verification measures, there are big concerns about how our data, and especially children's data, is being handled.
Yeah, and let's be real, it's not hard for kids to find ways around things like age limits. We've all seen it. Fake ages, shared accounts. It's tricky terrain.
You're absolutely right. The Act aims to combat this by holding companies responsible for enforcing robust age verification systems that can't be easily bypassed. But again, the criticism is that many of these measures feel, well, reactive rather than preventative.
And I think what parents and kids need is prevention. Resources, education, things that teach kids to navigate online spaces responsibly in the first place. But, I mean, when it comes down to it, this balance between safety and freedom, that's got to be a tough line to walk, don't you think?
It is. And it's important to remember the Online Safety Act isn't just about blocking harmful material. It's also about fostering a cultural shift where everyone, tech companies, parents, educators, even kids themselves, takes responsibility. Ofcom's role is key here, ensuring these platforms, big and small, follow through on their commitments. And while the Act might not solve everything, it's an essential step in the right direction.
And I think that's the point, isn't it? It won't fix the internet overnight, but it's a message that change is possible, especially if we all play our part. And these conversations, the ones we have here, the ones you have with your kids, those are what make the biggest difference.
Absolutely. Change starts with knowledge. And today we've explored the tools, strategies and systems in place. But it's the ongoing effort from families and communities that really makes the internet safer for kids.
On that note, thanks for joining us today. Stay informed, stay involved, and we'll see you next time.